Let's talk triggers today. I think I've done probably, I don't know if I did everything because I did a lot of trigger jobs. And, people call me weird because I'm a trigger diva or whatever different things they call me, negative names. But I like to mess with triggers in case y'all didn't know. And let's go through them. Now, if we start out with a Glock, and I still don't understand how, they don't consider this as a modular system. This is a Gen 4. It's got 3 pins. A Gen 5 has 2 pins. It no longer has this top pin. So I'll poke these 2 pins out. I get this. That's the whole trigger system of a Glock. Now this is a Gen 5. A Gen 4 has a different kind of spring. But pretty much the same thing. You have the trigger bar and a connector. That's what makes that reset sound. And then on this angle here, that's what gives you the lighter trigger and different angles. And what I do, different things, on a Glock, I could do a Glock. I could change this angle here, smooth this out, polish this. Anything metal to metal polish to give you that trigger grip. Now to get the triggers I like for a Glock, it's simple. Again, I change this angle a little bit. Sometimes, I don't do it all the time. I change this angle a little bit, polish it, put a ghost connector on it. Those are the only ones I seem to like. There are probably other ones that work well, but I stay with what I like. I buy a aftermarket trigger. Sometimes just to shoot, but I like Overwatches. This is an Overwatch. So this trigger here comes with the trigger shoe and the bar. And they do the little thing. This is another thing you would change the angle on so it won't be so square. It's different things you can do, but quick job on a Glock is you don't even need especially the Gen 5s. You don't even need a new trigger shoe. I just like the trigger shoes, different trigger shoes. I think Glock's trigger shoes are so ugly. So I just get that for cosmetics, really. I really don't need. Oh, you really don't need a trigger job either. I can shoot. Believe it or not, I can shoot stock guns, but why would I? But a basic thing I buy a trigger bar. Trigger setup. Normally comes with a bar and this connectors like $30. And it's different ones I like. And then the change, get deep. There's a plunger spring where this goes on. You can lighten that up. People are afraid of that because again, that's your safety plunger. So people hate to lighten that up. And then I lighten up the striker spring. Most guns are oversprung. Have heavy striker springs so they can shoot everything. I lighten the trigger up. Most Glocks I run 4 pounds. They come with 5.5, 6 pounds. I go to 4 pounds. That seems to work on Glocks. It runs everything. I never had a hiccup on a Glock. I actually ran this for 2 pound one time just to test it. This is a Glock 34. This should be my competition. And it had no problem. I had like maybe 2 hiccups. And that's again competition. So it'll run 2 pounds, but 4 pounds seems to be the safe thing. So that's a Glock trigger. And I start with Glock because every time I do a trigger job on any other gun, man, it makes me miss Glocks. Because I can do a Glock trigger literally 5 minutes. If I got all the parts in front of me, 5 minutes. Again, 3 pins with Gen 4s, 2 pins with Gen 5s. Pop out 2 pins, pull this out, change that connector, put everything back together, boom, 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 I'm ready to go. I can do it in a heated battle, change the trigger in a Glock. Alright, let's move on. Forget my snotty nose. Alright, SIG. Not bad. I guess I should have pulled this out. I guess you can see it. Not bad, This is the modular system. It comes out, it's easy, but it's not too bad to change the a good trigger in here. I mean, you can get a trigger. It comes with the bar. You can get a trigger shoe. They got adjustable. They got things for SIGs now. They got good aftermarket. This is the Apex. What comes with the shoe and the trigger bar. But it wasn't enough, because the problem I had with it, when I've tried fast fire or dump a mag, it would actually just stick. I mean, it wouldn't. I know my finger's not fast anymore. It used to be. I used to have fast finger. I don't have a fast finger anymore, so I know it gets stuck now. Something was wrong. So I had to buy a spring kit. Spring kit, $30, $40. No problems. And what you would get, you got 2 shear springs behind here. You pull this little connection out here, change the 2 springs, they actually hook on there, drop them back in the channel, boom. Your return spring sits right here, and if you get the kit, you come with 3 different types. They got 3 different types for the kit I bought. I can't even think of what I bought now. It's at the top of my head. Anyway, it gives you you can dial it in. So I went with the lightest everything. This is running like 2 1/4, 2.5 pound trigger. Yeah, I know. Got y'all nervous. So they give you a return spring right here. That was the key to the whole thing. My thinking, unless you like me, you like triggers, all you need is that return spring. Because I don't care what you say. SIG's triggers are trash factory. I never had the competition ones, but the normal ones, I know this trigger was trash. I'm sorry. I mean, I can deal with it, but it was trash. You had to do something with it. So, not to shit on SIG. Now, you got a gun that's $200 more than a Glock. Plus, you had to put money in to put the trigger on, and they say this is better than Glock. No. Not money-wise. It feels good now, but money-wise, no. Anyway, back to this. On this side, there's a return spring. Real simple. 2 seconds put on if you know the technique. And then on the striker itself, there's a spring. Real teeny spring. That was a shoot. I mean, it was easy to do, but you gotta watch. You lose that spring, I mean, you gotta buy a new kit or something. And it was simple. I didn't mind this. I didn't mind that at all. Let's move on. Springfield Echelon. Pain in the nuts. Ew, man. This is a PRP. I'm not really... The factory trigger was sexier. I don't know what all these lumpies are, but I get it. The overpull stop, I guess. Okay, anyway. Again, you get a spring kit, a trigger. You get a trigger shoe with this PRP kit. You get the shoe, and you got to pain in the nuts. If you don't know what you're doing, you got to poke these holes out in the factory one, and then line up the trigger bar in this little hole, and then make sure you don't damage your shoe. Yeah, okay. Almost like the Apex for Smith & Wesson. That's another thing I should have showed y'all. That's another pain in the nuts. I don't have that one out, but there's a pain in the nuts. Now right here, there's a spring here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 different pieces right here. You have to line up, hold it, make sure the spring's on the right side, and then push the little peg through. Ew, man. When you got bad eyesight for one thing, so that was a pain in the nuts. I mean, I got it done probably half hour, but that was a pain in the nuts. So I'm guaranteed to lose. If I do a trigger job, I'm guaranteed to lose something. That's why I always use a cloth, so if it drops, there's no bouncing, it just falls on the thing. But these are pain in the nuts. So if anybody wants me to do an Echelon, I'm gonna have to hit you in the head, man. I'm gonna let you know. Now anything 1911, this is 1911 style, 2011 style trigger. These are simple. It was a matter of poking the holes out, dropping this down, and then it comes with like a 3-piece or 4-piece little metal kit. You can get them already bent, or you can bend them yourself. You know what you're doing, just bend them, where you want them. This gives you a different trigger. So, other than that, oh, and go back to the Echelon. It does come with a striker spring. It's probably, I'm guessing, a 5-pound, because I tried to put a 4-pound in here. It didn't like it. I didn't try the 5-pound, but it didn't like the 4-pound. So the one comes with a kid is probably a 5-pounder. So this is running 2 1/4, 2 3 pounds. Now this, you don't really need to do anything with this trigger. But I'm just saying, if you want to do a trigger job, it's like a little bar here. I can't even think of terminology here. But it's like a piece of metal that you change the dynamics on that, or buy a new piece. These are simple, if you know what you're doing. CZ. This is an Overwatch. CZ already comes with a phenomenal trigger. Again, you're stupid, as I am, changing the trigger in it. The Overwatch just gave me a shorter pull. The reset was shorter, but that was it. So you get a shoe and a little spring right there to change the pull weight. And I dropped a 4-pound Glock striker spring on this. Yep, this takes a Glock striker spring. So that lightens the load on this. Phenomenal trigger. I don't care. I ain't tried them all, but I tried at least 4 different triggers in here. Overwatch is the best triggers on the P10s. My opinion. Another pain in the nutty nuts. Once you get this apart, in case people didn't recognize it, this is Walther PDP. I mean, you might not see that right there. In case you didn't see that, Walther PDP. Pain in the nuts, people having a problem. I didn't. I got 3 of them. All 3 of them had different triggers, and they had a problem in knocking this out. I don't know. I know I had a problem at first, because if you look at that, you try to match your punch to that same hole size, but this is actually a star in there, so you have to get it smaller. You have to get it just to fit that little hole in the middle. So people have problems with that. And then I recommend a guy freeze his gun, because that's how I take the sights off of like XDMs, because their sights are horrible. If you freeze the frame or the slide, you can knock that slide off. So I tried that technique, freeze this. He thought I was crazy. I said freeze it. He had no problem getting out. And I heard guys let this sit in lube overnight and it knocks it out. I never had a problem. I mean, you can't use, it takes some force, so you can't use the little hammer that comes with the regular punch sets. You gotta use a real hammer, a nail hammer. That might be a problem. This is what I call a factory. It didn't come with this, but this is dynamic trigger from Overwatch. From Walther. And what you get here, the hardest part of this job, again, is disassembling it. You got to punch all this. You got to punch this out, punch this out, punch this out. You get everything punched out. All it takes is this spring here. You get this spring, a bar, the shoe, and you get to go. Matter of fact, there's another piece in here. I don't know what it's called, but if you get a dynamic trigger, it doesn't use that. So you can take that part out, because they give. Matter of fact, they give you the housing, complete housing. This spring, a bar, and a shoe. So it's easy to put back together. It's just hard to take these guns apart. But it's easy to put a Walther PDP trigger in. I got a video. I would go through all the trigger jobs and redo them, but I don't get paid for that anymore. YouTube don't let me monetize them. Where we at? And I don't know if y'all know or not. Again, another gun that doesn't need a trigger. Especially you get a rival. It doesn't need a trigger. I change the strikers on there, just lighten the loads up. Or I change the spring here. That look familiar to you? I bet it does. Oh, you didn't know Walthers and Canics are the same triggers? You didn't know it was the same gun? Yes. Canik bought the rights from Walter to make this gun. So you pretty much got a Walter. That's why the triggers are so phenomenal. And the same setup. You're gonna do a trigger, poke this hole out, yada yada yada. But again, all you need is to change this spring right here. That's it. And you gotta poke these things out, which is actually easier than a PDP. But again, I'm sorry if I keep saying it again and snotting up on you guys, but funny, men do not read manuals. And I got this Canik, did not read that you can't start the slide from the beginning. Jammed it up. I said, oh man, I didn't know that. And then I learned you got to put the slide almost on the top and then slide it back. Walters are not like that. I don't know why. The difference is, I mean, you see the ejectors are different, but slightly. But I don't know why this is. And yes, I can put this slide on that frame and vice versa. The mags are different. They don't fit right. They sit too tall. I can't remember. Now I don't know. The Caniks are too tall for the Walters, or the Walters are too tall for the Caniks. But everything fits, but it just sits too tall. So you have to get a Canik trigger. I mean Canik magazine, Walter magazine. Another pain in the nuts. PRP for XDM. So what you gotta do here, same setup. You sear and all this other shit, disconnect and hold that spring, and you gotta tie everything together, and then slowly poke this hole. That's a pin there. Poke that pin in, make sure everything's lined up right. Yeah, it's like putting a watch together. And then you're not over. Then you gotta test it, because it comes with a little hump right here, just like this is, I guess. That's PRP. It comes with that little hump. But I gotta see if it shoots. It don't shoot. Take everything apart. Shave a little bit. Take everything apart. Shave a little bit. Take everything apart until I get that to lock. I mean, get that to fire. Then I take off just a little bit more. And of course, take to the range. And see if I did it right. That's my rundown on triggers. Let me know in the comments if there's a trigger that you have problems with or you like better. Again, I'll do Glocks all day. I do 100 Glocks and wouldn't even blink. All right, I'm out.